It is 7 minutes to 8, no, 7 minutes to 9. I've just arrived here at Bordil del Camino. So here is my take on the daily routine that people have on the Camino, or at least it's the routine that I've been having. Some albergues lock the doors at night, and if they do, they open the doors at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at that time it will still be dark for about another 2 hours. I think sunrise in Spain at this time of the year is about 8 o'clock in the morning, which means you get about half an hour. From about 7:30 there's a little bit of light so you can see where you're going. But at 6 o'clock in the morning they unlock the doors. Some albergues don't lock the doors, in which case you're free to go in if you want to. But even at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's a significant number of people all packed up, ready to go. But at between 6 and 8 o'clock, everyone has to leave the hostels. The rooms are normally dark and there's lots of shuffling about. Some albergues, like Ronfabayas, they switch the lights on automatically at 6 o'clock in the morning. Another one I stayed at, they woke you up by loud classical music and general shouting and abuse, and everyone had to be out of the hostel by 7:30. And I have something to eat first thing in the morning to get my digestive system going before I set off. A banana has the advantage that you can eat a banana first thing in the morning in the dark without waking everyone up. Whereas this morning I had a packet of donuts, which are absolutely delicious, but there's an awful lot of rustling goes on with donuts. And by 7:15 I'm ready to set off, which means the hostel is still dark. So I pack everything up the day before. The washing kit, any washing I've had drying outside, I put that away. Anything I've left charging up, it's all put away. So the only thing I have to do is put on my trousers and socks and t-shirt and boots, put my sleeping bag away, and I'm ready to go, and hopefully I won't have left anything behind. You need a torch to general moving about, but you can do most of it in the dark. And if you're thinking about what type of torch you'll need, the light on the screen of a mobile phone in a dark dormitory is quite blinding, so you want a very weak torch for inside the hostel. But when you're outside, when you're first thing in the morning when it's still dark and you're trying to follow the route and see the little yellow arrows that they use to show you where to go, you need much more powerful torches. Right, here's another place to look for signs. Just walk around in the dark a bit. See? Okay. That's the sign we have to look for. Hola, buenos días. Bien camino. I took with me a high-vis top that I could wear first thing in the morning when it was still dark, and I should have also attached reflective material to my rucksack. Even on the longest day of the year, on the 21st of June, someone setting off first thing in the morning at 6 would still be walking in the dark, even if you allow for half an hour of twilight time before the official sunrise. And I think so many people set off early in the morning because, number one, there are few people. Number two, it's cooler because even at this time of the year, at midday, which in Spain is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because Spain should really be in the same time zone as Britain, but it's in the European time zone, which means it's an hour ahead. So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is absolutely fierce. Even in October, the sun is so fierce that if you see a weather forecast, for example, for 25 degrees centigrade, in the sun, that means the temperature will be 35 degrees centigrade. And a third reason is the hostels, even at this time of year, can get quite booked up. When I looked in video 1 about are there too many people on the Camino, I suggested it might be a good idea to stop at intermediate stages, for example here and here, rather than the 2 places that the guidebook says at the beginning and the end of the daily route. And that does make a big difference. Lots of people are following the guidebook and they stay at the places that the guidebook recommends. Also, everybody stops at Burgos. Some people stop for a day, some people stop for 2 days, but everyone stops at Burgos and then they all carry on. They all walk about the same distance. So the first day after Burgos, I got to that town about midday, about 12 o'clock midday, and I got one of the last few spaces in the hostel that I stopped at, although I think that was quite a popular one. But by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, every hostel in that village had the completo signs up saying that they were full. The same thing happens right at the very beginning of the walk. Everyone sets off from St Jean Pierre de Port. Everyone arrives in Roncesvalles. It has 183 beds, plus 110 in the overflow. But on the day I was there were so many people, they had to send some of us forward in taxis to the next albergues. So if you have a good start to the day, if you get to the hostel by 12 or 1 or 2, you've got quite a good chance of there being spaces left. If you get there about 4 or 5, then it's quite possible the hostel you want to stay at will be full. I think the village after Burgos is the first time I've seen just about every hostel in the village have a full sign up, so I think you'd be unlucky to be completely stuck. But it's definitely worth setting off in a good time, so you've got the best chance to get a hostel. In the past, if you got to an albergue and it was full and you were too tired to walk on to the next one, or maybe all the albergues in the town were full, they would put a mattress on the floor and you could sleep there, you know, no one's turned away. And even if there are a lot of people turned up and there weren't enough beds, they might even open the church hall so people could have somewhere to sleep. But I think the new rule is now, as soon as an albergue is full, they put up the completo sign to say they're full, and they will not let anyone else in, and you're expected either to walk to the next albergue that's free, and you've got the guidebook so you can phone up numbers of albergues, see if they've still got spaces left. And if you're too tired to walk, or if it's too far to the next albergue, you're expected to phone for a taxi. And I expect the albergues would give you the taxi number. They may book the taxi for you and may even book the next albergue. Some people phone ahead and reserve. I haven't been doing that. There are pros and cons, but that's not all hostels accept bookings. The guidebook warns against phoning hostels up unnecessarily, but lots of people phone up to reserve, and in fact, if you're having your luggage sent forward every day, you must reserve a place at the hostel, otherwise they won't know where to deliver it and you can't be sure that you're going to get in. Sometimes I spoke to people about what would they do if they couldn't find an albergue at all and they were completely stuck. 1 or 2 people said, well, they would find a church doorway to sleep in and maybe go into the church itself, although I think that would be quite arduous. Because if you finish walking at, say, 1 or 2 in the afternoon, or even if you stagger on for another couple of hours, you've got to go between 4 o'clock in the afternoon until maybe 7 o'clock the next morning. So that's a long time to be sat in a church doorway, and you'd need food and water and things like that. The best response I got was from an Australian man, and he'd noticed the bars don't close until 2 o'clock in the morning. So he said if he was stuck, he would spend all night in a bar, finish at 2, start walking again at 6 or maybe 5, so he'd only have 3 or 4 hours to sleep. Most pilgrims seem to stop at the first village they come to after walking about 90 minutes or 2 hours and have their breakfast there, and you see cafes full of pilgrims about that time and that part of the route.